Awesome. All right. So welcome again. My name is Megan Lavery. I am a project manager with Engineering World Health. And if you're unfamiliar with Engineering World Health, we are a nonprofit organization. We're based out of Durham, North Carolina, on the East Coast of the United States. And basically our whole mission is promoting healthcare in low resource areas through biomedical engineering. So a really big part of what we do is engineering education and biomedical engineering education. We do that a whole bunch of different ways with the era of COVID and making things pretty difficult in person, as you're all very familiar with. We've had to jump into the virtual setting. And what that has meant for us is we have been running a lot of collaborative experiences for students around the globe to work together on engineering projects, specifically engineering projects focused on promoting healthcare and benefiting healthcare in low resource areas, and sort of how to work as engineers or how to work as students in that realm and really get together to come up with some pretty creative solutions to big problems. So that's kind of what we want to talk about this afternoon is, and we have a whole bunch of awesome panelists with us who have all participated in some capacity in these virtual experiences. And so I want to give you a chance to get to meet them and learn a little bit about their experiences. I will say to start out, most of the virtual programs that we've put on so far have been sponsored and funded by the Stevens Initiative, which is promoted by the State Department and the Aspen Institute. And so most of the programs that we've put on so far have been between students in the United States and students in the MENA region, meaning the Middle East and North Africa region. A lot of people are coming from Lebanon, and similarly, a lot of our other students are coming from the United States. So that'll be a big part of our panel discussion today. Engineering World Health also puts on a whole bunch of other virtual programs. We'll be continuing virtual programs this winter and again in the summer if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. So we'll be talking a little bit about those coming up as well. So I want to start out by giving everyone a chance to introduce themselves. Ashley, you're first on my screen up here. Do you want to go get us started with how you've been involved with Engineering World Health so far?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Ashley Haida. I'm a graduate student at Arizona State University. I was involved in the virtual program this last summer, and then I was part of the 2019 in-person program in Tanzania. And perfect. I'm currently a grad student.
That's awesome. Thank you. Joe, you're next on my screen. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Joe. I'm from Lebanon. I'm actually majoring in computer and communication engineering, and I took part in the 2021 summer capstone program. Yeah, that's it.
Fantastic. Naja, are you able to jump in now?
Yes, thank you, Megan, and thank you for inviting us to this panel. My name is Naja, and I'm from Lebanon as well. I'm a graduate in mechanical engineering from Notre University. I was a participant in the EWH VEIC Summer Exchange Program of 2020, and recently I was a program facilitator for that same program in 2021.
Perfect, thank you. Deema, how about you?
Hi, Megan. Nice to see you again. So my name is Deema Khalil. I'm from Lebanon, and I recently graduated from Notre University-Louaize with a BE in Civil and Environmental Engineering. And I participated initially in EWH's first virtual exchange program in summer 2020, and I became a facilitator during the exchange program of summer 2021. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Diane, I think you're our last panelist on here.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Diana Velasquez. I'm an international student from El Salvador. I study biomedical engineering, a bachelor's in biomedical engineering, and an accelerated master's in medical devices and biomaterials at Illinois Tech in Chicago. I was part of the Summer Institute Guatemala of 2018. And I was also part of the VEIC of this past summer that just happened. And also something funny is that right now I'm helping my university set up a campus to content program, which we hope to start on this coming summer. So, thank you for having me. I'm excited too.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we love it when we have students and past participants who become facilitators and people, as you can see from our group of panelists here, people who have been involved in EWH in a whole bunch of different ways. And so that's always really encouraging and exciting. And I'm glad that we're able to get each of your input here this afternoon. So just to sort of start us out, one of the things that each of our panelists here has in common is that they've all participated in the virtual exchange that was between the US and the MENA region. So I sort of want to start out with a couple of questions, mostly surrounding that. And this first one is for Ashley and anyone else who has an answer. To give everyone an idea of what types of engineering activities you worked on during the program, can you give a brief example of one of your favorite projects and what you or your students learned from it?
Yeah, so I got to work with 3 great groups this summer. One of my groups did a water filtration system for like large amounts of water for a hospital. Another group did a solar powered oxygen concentrator that could work in like extreme environments or dusty environments or hot environments. And then my other group that Joe and Deanna were a part of did a really, really cool UV trolley that they were able to sterilize different patient rooms between patients at a hospital. So all of these projects had so many different components and so many different parts that it was really cool for me to learn about. I didn't know much about like the water filtration process at a large scale or oxygen concentrators or the applications of UV for sterilization or for water purification as well. So for me, it was really cool just to be exposed to a lot of like newer topics related to the healthcare setting. And I think hopefully the students in the group feel similarly and enjoyed that. So
yeah, that's really fantastic and was definitely our hope for the program. And to give everyone else a little bit deeper context about what these students were working on, we hosted a 5-week-long program where students took an online course with Engineering World Health and learned about all sorts of different challenges to healthcare in low resource settings, and then worked on international teams of US-based students and students based in Lebanon and Syria. And they worked together to come up with all of these different project ideas and different concepts that could be brought to potentially brought to production later or implemented in healthcare settings later. So these are some like the really exciting projects that we got to hear students working on together internationally. I think that's one of the great things about the virtual setting is how that allowed you all to do that together. So jumping off of that, Joe and Diana, a question for each of you. So virtual exchange enables us to bring together students from completely different backgrounds and areas of the world. In addition to the engineering education, what's something else or something unexpected that you felt like you gained from the experience? And how do you think that it will help you moving forward, either in university or in the workforce?
I can go first.
Perfect.
Well, for me, it wasn't unexpected because I like meeting people. So for me, besides the technical experience, something that was highly beneficial and something that I really enjoyed was learning about other cultures. So in our team, there were multiple cultures, in besides, Ashley and Joe, we had 3 teammates, and all of us not only worked together, but also we would talk, and we would tell each other about where we come from and how things are. And to be honest, I think that's one of the richest parts of programs like this. So I know that knowing more about other cultures will definitely benefit me as a person and as a professional, because after all, this is an interconnected world. So we will work with people from all over the world. That's
That's wonderful. Thank you. Joe, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Okay, so this virtual program was fortunately the first international program that I have been to. And some of the things that I never thought I would take into consideration while on an online meeting was the time difference. I remember having the meetings at around 5 p.m. after my work shift, while like one of my teammates was getting ready for a night out. And I think Ashley was having her morning 6 a.m. coffee or tea or something. So I never thought about time difference being an obstacle in such matters until I realized that in order to facilitate a meeting, one of us had to wake up extremely early and the other had to like attend after a very long day. And due to that, I can now put myself in other people's shoes and understand better where they're coming from if I'm ever in an international group. I actually lived it. So yeah, it was, this will greatly impact my work field experience. Yeah.
Wonderful. That's really great to hear. And I can definitely relate to that and having to deal with meetings all over the world. So I can attest to that being a valuable skill to have. Awesome. So Naja and Deema, a question for you next. The both of you participated in last year's program, which was the first VEIC exchange EWH has ever done. This year you came back to help us facilitate in the 2021 program. What made you decide to return, and how did your experience as a virtual exchange student help you or help better prepare you as a facilitator?
I guess, Deema, do you want to go first?
It's okay, I go first.
Okay. So for me, I really enjoyed the program as a participant and wanted to build upon an enriching experience. And as a student, I did not really get a chance to do a live exchange program pre-COVID-19. So this was a good opportunity to have more involvement with EWH and such a program. Also, my facilitator back when I was a participant, Dr. Naja, contacted me to ask if I would like to come back for this. And I said, of course, why not? I'd love to help and share my experience with others and see things from a different point of view. And regarding how my experience as a participant helped me as a facilitator, I would say that it really helped in terms of understanding the structure of the whole program and knowing what to expect on a weekly basis, and also helped with giving students tips and things to look out for to make the process easier for them.
Fantastic. Yeah, definitely all things for us to keep in mind moving forward. I'm glad that you had those skills and those experiences. Deema, what about you?
Actually, when I decided to attend EWH's first exchange program in summer 2020, it was a whole new experience for me to be virtually meeting and working with students from different cultures. It was my first cultural experience, actually, and I can't deny that it was quite challenging at first to connect with each one of my team members behind the screen. Yet with the same goal we actually shared, we each combined our different skills and knowledge in engineering to design our project at the end. And while my program was completely virtual, I gained effective cross-cultural communication, stronger relationships, and of course, that made me learn how to communicate with diverse individuals, which made me want to return back as a facilitator when Dr. Naja also contacted me back and asked me if I'm interested in being part of EWH's facilitator program. And it was a big yes for me. Especially that I felt very welcomed by everyone during my exchange program and by Megan, who was my facilitator back then. So I definitely wanted to be part of it, and I promised my students as well to provide them the same amazing experience I gained myself.
And we're super glad that you did. It was wonderful having you back as a facilitator. So it's definitely been a positive experience. So continuing that question a little bit, this time with Naja and Diana. So we know now that there are so many pros and benefits to virtual exchange programs like this, you know, the cross-cultural connection, being able to remove a lot of the financial barriers that in-person programs have. But what are some of the challenges that you faced as a student or as a facilitator relating to the program being virtual? And how do you feel like you resolved them? Or what's a lesson that you learned that we can use moving forward?
I think the fact that I reside in Lebanon was the biggest challenge. I think Deema can relate. Having constant electricity cuts and internet cuts was definitely not easy. So I resorted as much as possible to mobile data when needed and made sure I let the participants know that I was facing some difficulties and to expect that session timings were subject to change. And with that said, I still managed to get all the workload in, whether we did 3 sessions with days off in between, or even 3 sessions back to back. Also on a non-technical level, I also think one challenge was to get the participants to be more engaging and proactive when working on activities or their projects. But that usually gets better as we gain more traction in the program. And it can that we are all here to learn and that they can get the maximum benefit out of the program by engaging more.
Definitely. I think keeping engagement in the virtual setting is a challenge that a lot of educators these days can relate to. And I think we all have a little bit of Zoom fatigue. So everyone's sort of in that same boat. So can definitely relate to that. Deanna, what about you?
So for me, first, it was the Wi-Fi connection, which, sometimes it wasn't very reliable. So in that regard, I had to, find ways to connect still and, make it to the meetings and everything. Then I would say also, well, being a virtual program and being in my home country, sometimes unexpected things would happen outside of the program. So if it was an in-person program, I would be at a location with the rest of my teammates, and then it would be, of course, an immersive experience, and it would be relatively isolated from anything that can happen, from where I'm at. So in that regard, that was also another challenge. But thankfully, being able to rely on your team and, knowing that you can still contribute a lot regardless of what happens, and working in a team based on people's strengths, that is something that really helped during the program. So I'd say, I'd say for those two.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm really glad that you were able to sort of identify each other's strengths and figure out how to pull from that as well. So my next question is for Ashley and for any of the other panelists again who feel like they have an answer that they want to jump in with. So we already mentioned that since the beginning of the pandemic, so many things have evolved to becoming virtual, and more online experiences have become available. And EWH didn't run any virtual programs until last year. So being someone who's sort of been on the virtual side as well as the in-person side, do you think cross-cultural experiences are something that will continue to be valuable going into the future, and why?
Yes, definitely. Short answer. I think that something like this is so valuable. And the nice thing about the virtual experience as opposed to the in-person experience was that everybody's still at home and they're able to do other internships or classes or other things that they need to be able to do. But then like the whole team gets to come together a few times a week to just do a really fun engineering project. And I think that's why most people go into engineering, is because they like to do engineering, and having such a international team gives so many different perspectives about what should be emphasized in the product or the design of the product that you're making, or gives different everybody approaches problems and constraints a little differently. So I think it's really just like so special and like such an honor to be on an international team and to just, you know, get to spend time together and confront an engineering challenge. So I think this going forward is definitely a cool option.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think most people are like on board with that as well. Obviously, we're all sort of craving and hoping to get back to more in-person experiences. There are parts of those types of experiences that, you know, you just can't get out of a virtual time, but it is really encouraging to hear that there's still these options for connection with other people, these options for innovation and sharing ideas with other engineers. And I'm really encouraged by what I was able to see all of you guys come together and do. So that's really fantastic to be able to hear from someone who's sort of been on both sides of it as well. So Joe and Deema, once again, over the last 2 years, we've all had to shift to doing some things virtually, from work to school to doctor's appointments, family gatherings, all these types of things. Let's be honest, it can be super tiring. I get it. What would you say to someone who's hesitating to participate in another virtual experience like this for one reason or another?
I think that we all agree that coronavirus pandemic has forced global experimentation with the whole remote teaching. And there are many indicators that this crisis has already transformed many aspects of our lives. I think that when the pandemic struck, it was all very new for me to cope with this whole new online learning myself, which was also followed by online teaching with EWH. So it was double the challenge. It was quite challenging at first. However, my experience with EWH, virtual or not, has given me this opportunity to meet brilliant people and talented ones whom I learned a lot from and whom I became very close friends with. So basically, my advice to anyone hesitating to participate in any sort of virtual experience is to really just go through with it without much overthinking, because honestly, you'll never know what skills you might gain and what doors it will open for you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That's an awesome pitch. And yeah, that's perfect. Joe, what about you? What would you say to people who are hesitant to jump in on another virtual experience?
Yeah. Okay. So the year 2020 and the year 2021 were hectic for everyone. On the worldwide level, there was COVID, there were riots, there were lockdowns all over, and there was conspiracy theories about vaccines and everything. On the Lebanese level, we had riots, we had explosions, and hell is easier to explain, actually. Regardless of what was happening, I was actually looking forward for every meeting we were having, because we were actually working, we were brainstorming and discussing very good biomedical ideas. And we talked about a lot of things, like current situations, burgers, places to eat, hikes to have, countries to go to. What I'm trying to say, it was like this experience was actually a way out. It was a place where you can focus on something besides the bad that was happening all around, and you just be yourself with strangers that you get to know a lot, and you just work on something very, very beautiful, honestly, and just make new friends. It was simply amazing. I actually do recommend everyone to take part in it someday.
Thanks, Joe. That's super nice to hear, and the kind words are always super appreciated on the side of the people running the program. So I know I really appreciate hearing that feedback, but I'm really glad that other people are able to sort of hear it as well, especially when I think we can all understand not wanting to sign up for more virtual sessions, more webinars, everything going on. So it's encouraging to be able to hear the positives coming out the other side. So I do want to sort of open things up to the audience a bit more and allow you guys to ask some of the questions that I imagine you might have for some of the participants. And I've gotten one already that I can start us out with, but if audience members have questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or you can go ahead and just speak up if that is your preferred style, all in the theme of not having to stay virtual if we don't have to. But I'll start out with a general question for all of our panelists here. So how has your experience with EWH changed what you might think you want to do with your career? Like, were you interested in engineering for low resource countries before this? And do you want to continue doing so now?
I can start with this one. So
Thanks.
I'm from third world country, and even though I've never experienced firsthand those struggles that come with being part of a third world country, thankfully I've had that blessing. I've interacted with people who have not, even before being part of EWH. And to be honest, I already had that desire to help this specific sector through my work as a future professional. That's why I decided to study biomedical engineering. But after being part of programs like this, that desire just became larger. So it's one thing to want something, and it's another thing to actually experience the practical side of a potential career, a potential profession. And EWH gives this opportunity to those of us who decide to take it. And also, on top of that, which is even more important, we help others do it. So I'd say being part of EWH alongside, along the years, seasonally, it has been a unique and very incredible experience, I'd say. It has been a blessing. So I'd say programs like this definitely help people realize if what they want to do is really for them, and if it's something they see themselves doing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I had a mentor in high school, actually, who, I was sort of on this track to begin engineering, and he said to me, even if you figure out that this is not at all for you, that's just as important a lesson to learn as figuring out what you like and stuff like that. So I'm encouraged and happy that you found out that this might be more in the direction that you wanted to learn, but they're important lessons regardless. How about any of our other panelists? Is this what you thought you wanted to do coming into these programs, or even pre-programs? Had you been thinking that working with low resource healthcare was along your career path? And if not, what did you want to do before? Or what were some of the significant things that maybe happened during your experiences that really push you one direction or the other, if you have any of those?
I just wanted to mention that not having biology or a medical background, I find it hard maybe to transition into that type of career, but it's definitely something to consider, and I definitely hadn't considered it before. So yeah. Definitely.
And it makes a lot of sense with biomedical engineering as a field being one of the newer engineering disciplines. I think a lot of people globally are still sort of learning about what the discipline even means, what it is. And, the fact that engineers do play a role in healthcare and can play a bigger role in promoting healthcare and benefiting global health in general. So that's, I think, one of the things that we sort of hope to guide people on throughout this process. And so, Naja, I think you're right in line with not necessarily having a lot of biomedical background to begin with, but still being able to see a little bit of that benefit. It looks like we just had a question come into the chat. So this person is asking, I'm interested to know how many of you are aware of follow-up training, and how many of you are wanting to become design engineers? Is anyone or any of the panelists right now working on becoming design engineers?
Can you say the first word again? It was cutting out.
Yeah.
Before design engineer.
This person is just asking, are you aware of like follow-up training or follow-up opportunities afterwards And I guess my question for you regarding this is what are your next steps? What are the things that you guys are planning on moving forward with after this, now that you've been through the programs?
Well, I can start. So in my case, I do want to become a design engineer. I specifically want to design medical devices to help the vulnerable. And vulnerable, I mean individuals from low socioeconomic status, or in third world countries, also individuals with disability, and also minorities that are usually underrepresented in the design process. So I want to do that. And not only this experience, but also other experiences have helped me decide this. As a full-on training, I'm not much aware other than things going on my university, as well as any other future programs in EWH, but definitely design is what I want to go with at this point.
Fantastic. Naja, I saw you unmute. What are your next steps?
Yes, so I'm not really aware of any follow-up trainings, but I definitely would consider a track related to design engineering, considering I worked on projects related to design, but not specifically in healthcare. So if there's something I can do to upgrade my skill set in order to make a transition, then yes, I would definitely consider that career choice.
Perfect. So another question following Anna's mention of her experience, but a question for everyone here. What was it like working on resources design with high school students and university students who may not have had any background knowledge in the challenges of hospitals in low resource areas? So a little bit of context here. All of our participants in today's discussion were involved mostly at the college level, but Engineering World Health was actually able to expand this past year and get in at the high school level as well. So we had both high school level exchanges between the US and Lebanon, as well as college level exchanges. And I think a couple of our facilitators here worked at the high school level as well. So what was it like working with people either at the university level or the high school level who may not have had a lot of background knowledge about these different challenges that hospitals or other healthcare facilities face in low resource areas?
I would say that most of them, if not all, were very curious and they really liked this field. And even some had some kind of internships in some of the fields, such as sterilization and autoclaves. I had one student who had some experience with them and was kind of leading the way in their projects. So I would definitely say they were excited and curious and did their research to get their projects done. But overall, most of them did not have any prior knowledge.
Definitely. Any other input on that question? Fantastic. Okay, so I want to go ahead and give a chance for everyone who's on the call today to just sort of say hello and introduce themselves. If you're able to, go ahead and mention how you found out about today's webinar. If you're able to jump on via video or discussion, fantastic. It's always appreciated. If you're not, go ahead and say hello and introduce yourself in the chat. But yeah, Leslie, I was able to see your face on video here. So I'm gonna put you on this spot. But do we want to start out with just some greetings and hellos from people who are on the call?
Yeah, I was going backwards there. It shows my great technical ability. I'm Leslie Kalman. I is the former CEO of Engineering World Health prior to Tujan. And we were faced with the onset of COVID-19. The first I ever heard of it was actually an email from our on-the-ground coordinator in Cambodia, who happened to be Megan Lavery. and saying there's this new virus, and what are we, I have students nearby, what are we going to do about it? And we got them out of the way, but who knew back in January of 2019 what this was going to become. So it's really great to hear how EWH has adapted and managed to include people from around the globe in these really important issues. So it's nice to be here and hear all of you.
Thanks so much, Lizzie. And yeah, that takes me back to troubleshooting back when, one person in the country had it, and it's a pretty different experience now. So I see a couple other faces on the screen. Mark, I see you. If you're willing to jump on, fantastic. If you're not very understandable, it looks like we may have just lost you. But anyone else who's willing to jump on and say hello and sort of their level of exposure to engineering world health and what brought them to the webinar today.
Yeah. Hi, this is Joseph from Kenya.
Hi, Joseph.
I'm a subscriber of ARMY group, discussion group, the technology group, and I got this notice through the notification. I'm in Kenya, Nairobi, and I love following AMI activities, trainings, and so many accreditation systems that I hope to pursue one of the days. I am involved with medical engineering activities in the country, mainly new facilities that are members of the FBO network in Kenya. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Great to meet you, Joseph. Thank you for joining. Anyone else?
Hi, Megan, this is Jerry Zion. I'm the Global Technical Training Manager for Fluke Biomedical. We make test instruments specifically for medical device QA testing. And I became aware of EWH several years ago when you were just starting out and maybe only had some funding from GE and a couple of locations. We see a lot of things going on in the continent of Africa and different countries there. And we also were very challenged very suddenly with this pandemic of not being able to travel, not being able to do hands-on training events around the world that I usually was doing before that. And we have adapted just like you guys at EWH have. I am very, very pleased to see that you've had some success. And yes, hands-on, actually anything that teaches a skill is hard.
Jerry, it looks like you just got muted. Sorry. We were with you for almost all of that.
To say that and to invite all of the participants of EWH to please, please, please go check out both our Advantage Training and Empower webinar series, and make sure you give contact information for some follow-on, specifically though about medical device quality assurance testing to ensure minimum performance and safety of medical devices that are trying to be used everywhere in the world. And the answer to the question, how do you want that medical device to work if you or somebody you love is the next patient that will be connected to it? And those are the things I wanted to say. Very proud and pleased with what I'm hearing on this discussion.
Thanks, Jerry. Yeah, we appreciate it. And any opportunities and options for students to continue learning is definitely right in line with what we're hoping for. So thank you for mentioning that as well.
And all that you find on our website is no charge. It's free. We're doing this.
Love to hear it.
Yeah, because we believe so much in what Engineering World Health is standing for and trying to do and develop along with WHO. Although we haven't worked directly and collaboratively, other than an awareness and just trying to keep track of things. Also want to punch up the AMI apprenticeship program, which is another form of follow-on training. You can go to amy.org and check out that program for those of you that want to follow on for this kind of medical device quality assurance topic.
Definitely, thank you. And I will talk a little bit about how EWH is planning on moving forward in the coming months as well. I want to give others on this call a chance to jump on first and say sort of what got them interested in EWH, what brought them to the call today. I see a couple more faces here. Hi, Mark, how are you?
Hey, good, Megan. How are you? I'll say hello. My name's Mark Cutler. I'm at Phillips Academy, a high school in Andover, Massachusetts, near Boston. And I think I've sent maybe 11 students, 10 or 11 students to EWH virtual programs since last winter, and then the summer. I first met Tujan at a World Council meetup, and we were in a group together, and we were talking about things that we both have in common, or things that we follow in common, and ideas that we have. And it sounded really great, the opportunity to get our students together. I'm not a biomedical engineer by any means, or anything like that, but I do oversee our global and intercultural programs at the high school here, and so for me, just thinking about some of the reasons why I facilitate global education programming, it's about the future of work. The future of work is in teams, they're intercultural teams. Right now, people are working remotely more and more, and there's a lot more opportunity to connect with people from all over the world, from wherever you are. And so when Tujan told me about the projects that she oversees, that EWH offers, it sounded like a really great match for our school and the things that I'm interested in pursuing and promoting here. And so I will give a shout out to my colleague Keith Robinson, who's here with me. He's the head of our science division at Phillips Academy, so he oversees the biology, physics, and chemistry departments as well. And so I invited him here to learn about EWH and to gain some insight so that he can share the story with his colleagues and students in our programs. So thanks for having us. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining. Welcome to the discussion, Keith. We love to see new faces, love to have you involved. So it's definitely really appreciated. And yeah, anyone else want to jump in and sort of talk about their exposure to the programs and what their interests are? Hi, Jenny.
Hi, everyone.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. There is a posting piece from Makerere University, and I've been part of the EWH Makerere chapter. I didn't get a chance to attend the virtual exchange because I was caught up. It has been really exciting to get to know all your experience and what I missed. And I look forward to participating in another exchange in case it takes place. Yes. I also got to know about this webinar through the promotional emails that I normally receive. Thank you for having me.
Thanks very much, Pauline. And I'm glad to hear that we've got a couple chapter members on the call. Especially from Makerere University. You guys are always doing fantastic work. And so I'm really glad to see that the info hit your chapter. So thank you and welcome. Anyone else?
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name is Jenny Dankelman. I'm from the Delft University of Technology. And we have always every year a number of students doing a lot of internships in Africa and in Asia, but this year it was not, of last 2 years, it was not possible. So I was happy to learn about how you solved that by doing it online. I learned about EWH from for a long time ago already. I get in contact by a PhD student who indicated this, the good things that you are doing. And so since then I get always emails. So I thought I saw this webinar, I thought, well, I should learn something about how you're doing it online and what the experience are. So thank you very much for organizing this.
Thank you so much for signing on. And we're welcome to the conversation. And of course, if anyone has questions following this as well, I am going to post my direct email in the chat here for everyone. And you can also find a whole bunch more information on our website. Rowan, I saw that you were trying to introduce yourself a couple of times. I want to let you do that while I type that in.
Sure, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm a program coordinator at the Stevens Initiative, which funds parts of the virtual exchange program that EWH holds. And so I'm really excited to be here as a new member of the team to hear from the alumni. I also wanted to just bring it to your attention that you are now also Stevens Initiative alumni. And so you definitely have a lot of opportunities offered to you by the Stevens Initiative Network. And so you all have welcome letters that you should have received, and there are a lot of links and things there that will help keep you connected. And so I hope you take advantage of that, and thank you.
Thank you so much. It's always really appreciated to see people from the Stevens Initiative who are able to come and participate as well. So that's, yeah, we're very thankful for that. So we have just a couple of minutes here. I wanted to talk very briefly sort of about what EWH is doing moving forward, and allow anyone to ask questions or sort of hopefully point you in the direction of opportunities moving forward as well. So as far as the virtual realm goes, we do have another round of programs in collaboration with the Stevens Initiative, and those will be coming up in the summer of, or this coming summer. So go ahead and keep an eye on our website and on social media and on our email listserv and everything for those opportunities. And those will be available once again for the high school and the college level. So that is something that we can continue forward with if that is your realm and what you're interested in. We are tentatively moving forward with plans to host in-person programs as well. So while today's conversation was focused on the virtual experience, which we do plan to continue moving forward with for the foreseeable future, we're also trying to do some in-person programs. So we are tentatively moving forward with plans to host students in the Dominican Republic, in Guatemala, and in Rwanda in summer of 2022. So if you yourself are interested, or if you have students who are interested and are at the university level studying engineering or a related STEM field, that is an opportunity that you can point them in the direction. And there's tons more information on our website as well. Additionally, this winter, so just starting up in January, we are doing a number of other virtual programs specifically for students in Australia, Cambodia, and Uganda. So that's something that's sort of just running in the background and something for people to be aware of. So there's lots going on at EWH, and we hope that you're able to sort of keep tabs on us and keep in touch with what we're doing. Some of the best ways to do that is through social media, where we're always posting. We've got all of the social media aside from TikTok. We don't have one of those, but we've got Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, so you can follow on any of those platforms. And if you want to get on our listserv and you're not on it already, although it seems like many of you probably are because you got this email. If you want to get on our listserv, you can send an email to me directly. You can send an email to info@ewh.org, and we'll get you pointed in the right direction and get you sort of all the information that you need. Or if you just have general questions, you can reach out to any of those places. So we are a super small organization. We do try to get back to our emails as quickly as possible. So that is a good way to contact us. And yeah. So I just want to say thank you all so much for coming today. I think we can sort of wind down on that note. If there are any remaining questions, I will be hanging around for a few minutes. Feel free to hang around and ask. Feel free to throw them in the chat. But I just wanted to also once again thank all of our facilitators for coming today and for their participation in all of the programs leading up to this. It's always really great to hear about your experiences. You're such a valuable part of this program, or of our organization, and being involved with the organization as a whole. So yeah, I'm really thankful to have gotten to talk to all of you today. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, whether that's evening or morning or nighttime.